everyone, I'm Fernanda, or you can just call me Chimmy. It's no surprise that I love my OCs. I think about them 24/7 and love doing anything that revolves around them. So once I saw Baby Carrot Art's video where she created an OC drawing challenge, you know I had to try it out. The challenge involves drawing one OC for 15 days and is a nice way to really think about and flesh out their character. I had a lot of OCs I could do this challenge on, but decided to base it off one of my newer OCs, Hana. I was so ready to just go right in and start this challenge, but before getting right into it, I realized that I should probably prepare a bit so that I don't go in blind. Which is where today's sponsor Milanote comes in handy. Milanote is an amazing tool for organizing and brainstorming any creative projects you may have. Milanote was genuinely such a big help during this video and really helped me keep track of all of my ideas. Many of the prompts in this list consisted of outfit changes like formal wear, pajamas, and I'm not the best at designing those right off the top of my head, and so I rely a lot on photo references. Using Milanote was a perfect way to keep all of my inspirations in one place and organize it the way I want. You can even link videos onto your Milanote board, which is what I did of Baby Carrot Art's original video doing this idea in case I need clarification on any of the prompts. Milanote honestly has so many features you can try out, like to-do lists, color palettes. You can even place pictures with the links to their original sources to help you go back to it if needed. That's probably one of my favorite features and it's so helpful. Another helpful feature is subboards. I didn't want to overcrowd my board, and so I added a subboard that would have all of my inspirations for the week 2 prompts. I can still find it in my main board, but it has its own little section to help keep things more organized for myself. But even if you don't know where to start, that's completely okay. Milanote has over 100 built-in templates that you can try out for yourself. Feel free to have fun with it. But if you were to ever need more help, you can actually invite other people to collaborate with you in real time. You may ask for feedback, or you could always just brainstorm together. And don't think that Milanote should only be used for work-related projects either. I'm actually already working on other projects aside from this one that are purely for my entertainment, which means of course that it's OC related. Come on, we all saw that coming. Are we even surprised? I'm currently working on an out of the norm folder which has subboards about each of my characters on there. I still haven't made one for all of them, but I'm getting there. I can put my characters' voice claims on there, facts about them like their birthday and abilities, and using Milanote's table feature, I'm able to write down the characters' relationships with each other in a nice organized way. I have their relationships from the start of the story to the end, but I won't be showing the end part because of spoilers, of course. Sorry, that's just for me to see. I love working on these during my free time and will definitely continue doing so. It's nice to have a place to be able to put down all of my ideas for these guys. After this challenge, I'll even have 15 new drawings and facts I get to add onto Hana's board. My goal is to make some for all of my OCs filled with facts about them. The possibilities truly are endless and they're not limited by device either. If you're someone who's constantly on the go, you can even install Milanote on your phone to access whenever you want. There were times when I didn't have my iPad with me but still wanted to plan out ideas for this video, and so it was nice to just be able to pull out my phone and work on it whenever I pleased. Throughout my board, I made sure to not only place pictures of inspirations I'll reference, but I also used their columns feature to jot down any notes and things I'd like to talk about throughout each section. Sometimes I forget about points or details about the drawings I'm making, and so being able to write these down is a huge help. You can even color coordinate them if you like. Coloring them might not seem like a lot, but it actually helps me a lot to keep track of the notes I jot down. For example, the notes in purple are the prompt names. The ones in white are just small reminders I should keep in mind. And of course, the gray columns are for points I'd like to talk about throughout each section. Plus, it also makes my board look pretty, which is never a bad thing. So if you'd also like to try out Milanote and all its amazing features, definitely go for it. Milanote is free with no time limit, so sign up for a free Milanote account using the link in the description. Thank you so much to Milanote for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back to the challenge. Day 1 is default design, and so I just went ahead and did a full body drawing of Hana. In my story, Hana serves more of a side character role that becomes more important as the story goes on. She was the person closest to Daphne before she died, and so she may have a clue on what happened to her and on how to help. You guys have no idea how much I wish I could say more, but sadly I do still want to keep a majority of the story a secret, so this is all y'all get. Since this challenge required quite a bit of outfit changes, I decided to follow what Baby Carrot Art did and first draw a base that I could use for the rest of the prompts that required just an outfit change. Also, I'ma expose myself for a sec here. I actually didn't get this done within 15 days. I ended up getting sick, and so some of these were done after the challenge ended. I got it done though, and so that's all that matters. Day 2 was old design. Hana actually had 2 different designs before the one I stuck with, but I decided to draw the one I drew most, although I never ended up doing a fully colored drawing of her. Back when I was first designing her, she was meant to have more of a smart and strict personality, similar to Momo Yaoyorozu from My Hero Academia. But the more I thought about it, I realized that a personality like that Daphne probably wouldn't have befriended her, or at least be as close with her. But yeah, Hana's old design had longer hair and she had freckles too. I do still like this design, but it just didn't feel like Hana, if that makes sense. Next was day 3 formal clothes. I was very excited about this one and already had a lot of dresses saved that I wanted to use. As you can see from my Milanote board, I had 3 colors that I wanted to try out as well as some dress inspirations from the early 2000s. I used the blue one on the left as my main inspiration and absolutely love how this one turned out. I do wish I would have changed her hairstyle though. I honestly didn't even think to change it until just now that I'm looking back at these drawings. If I would have done another hairstyle on her though, it probably would be a low bun or just have her hair be slightly curly. She definitely got help from Daphne choosing this dress though. Now onto day 4, which was school uniform. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but Hana actually transferred to WHS during her sophomore year of high school. And so because of that, this prompt was perfect for her since before transferring, she attended a school that required uniforms. At that school, Hana was more reserved and didn't have many friends. She wasn't an outcast, people didn't pick on her or anything. She had a few friends, but they were only school friends, not people she'd hang out with outside of school. Hana was actually homeschooled for the first few years of her life, and so she had a pretty hard time opening up to people. So let's just say that she was more than happy to hear that she was going to be transferring schools. Now that she got the hang of how school works, she was very excited to get a new start and was ready to rebuild herself. Day 5 is PJs. This was a pretty simple day. Hana wouldn't be the type to put too much thought into her sleepwear. She'd honestly just grab the first thing she sees and stick with that. Although she does lean towards clothes that have bright colors. I originally wanted to have the pants have patterns on them like the ones in the references I have saved, but to be honest, I did not feel like adding that much detail. If I would have done that though, they would have had a flannel pattern like what the girl on the right has. Now onto day 6, which was persona. I had mentioned in my Q&A video that if Hana were an animal, she'd be a sheep. But now that I had to do this prompt and really thought about it, I realized that she'd actually be a bunny. I'm not the best at drawing furries, but I do have a lot of fun when drawing them, and so I searched up a few references to help me with this one. I just went onto Pinterest and looked up bunny furries and found a reference I liked. I also used Carrot from One Piece though, and of course an actual bunny. Although I still don't think I'm that good at drawing furries, I had a lot of fun with this one and think she turned out really cute. Now day 7's prompt was as a kid/adult. I was originally gonna draw her as an adult but ended up choosing a kid since she and Sam are the only ones who don't have official kid designs. Plus I made it a goal for myself to get better at drawing kids. I struggled a bit with this one, especially with the proportions, but I think I did a pretty decent job. I even did a background for this one, which was probably the area I spent most on. But honestly, I'm really proud of it. While drawing this, I got the idea to have Hana be one of those kids that was really into bugs and insects. Now as a teenager, she isn't as interested in them, but she still really loves animals. Like I mentioned earlier, she was homeschooled as a kid and so she didn't have many friends. She's an only child and lived in a pretty quiet neighborhood with barely any kids, and so I like to think that that's the reason she became so interested in animals. Next is day 8 at the beach/swimwear. I did a sort of mix of the both for this one, drawing Hana at the beach with a cute swimsuit. I feel like she'd definitely put more thought into her swimwear unlike with her PJs since people can actually see her. I kept its design pretty simple though and used a similar color to her formal dress. I just think it suits her so well. And a fun fact about Hana is that she actually doesn't know how to swim. She still likes water though, but has to have some sort of floaty with her, which is why for this drawing I wanted to draw her on a donut floaty. I had a lot of fun drawing this one and didn't even struggle drawing the background too much. I mean, it isn't anything too complicated, but I still really like it. Now we're onto the opposite of summer, winter clothes. A quick little fun fact, but at the time of me writing this script, it's actually snowing right now, so I'm very excited. It rarely snows here, and so it's a pretty big deal when it does. Back to the drawing though. Since I'm on the second half of this challenge, that means that we're moving on to and using my second Milanote board. This half didn't have as many outfit change prompts, but the ones that were on there were ones that I was the most excited for. Since this was just another outfit change, I went back to the base I did earlier. This was nice since at the time I did this drawing, I felt really sick and did not feel like drawing anything too complicated. And so this wasn't too bad to do, and I also had a lot of inspirations I wanted to go off of. Hana isn't a big fan of winter and would be the type to prioritize her warmth over being fashionable, unlike someone like Melanie who would wear a skirt during winter in order to remain fashionable. Hana likes to stay warm but still finds clothes she considers to be cute. Day 10 was opposite fashion style. There were a few aesthetics I had in mind for this one since Hana's wardrobe just consists of anything cute, and so I had many directions I could take this. At first I was leaning towards doing something goth or scene, but decided to part into something she'd actually try to wear. Since I mentioned earlier that Hana was excited to rebuild herself during her transfer, I imagined that during that time in between, she was trying anything new. Since in her old school they wore uniforms, she never really found her style, and so I imagined that she was really struggling when trying to build a new wardrobe for herself. There was a lot of trial and error, but she eventually got there. Now, day 11 is person they are closest with, and so you know I drew her with Daphne. Since Hana wasn't the best at befriending people, she started off the year at a pretty lonely start with barely any friends. She thought she'd stay that way for the rest of the year, but that was until she met Daphne. They had an English class together, and Hana complimented one of Daphne's writings, saying how she could really tell how much thought Daphne put into it. A lot of Daphne's friend group laughed, thinking that she would never put that much thought into something like this, but little did they know that Daphne actually did put a lot of thought into it, and seeing that someone actually recognized that made her interested in Hana. Eventually, she got the chance to get closer to her once she saw that Hana was trying out for the cheerleading team, which Daphne was the captain of. Hana wouldn't really be the type of person to try out for the cheerleading team, but she thought this would be one of her best chances to make friends. And so once Hana made the team, her and Daphne started getting closer. Although Daphne may not be the best influence on Hana, she's developing a mean girl attitude thanks to her. Hana considers her to be her best friend. But Daphne's more of a tsundere and tells Hana that she's lucky to have a friend like her. But in all honesty, Daphne does really like Hana and also considers her to be her best friend. Though she has too much pride to ever tell her that. Wow, looks like things are going great for them. I sure do hope that nothing bad happens to one of them. But anyways, now let's move on to day 12, which is drawing them with a character they are least closest to. I was honestly torn between drawing her with Nova or Jackson, but ended up choosing Jackson since realistically, Hana would have probably talked to Nova a few times since he is Melanie's brother. I feel like the only time Hana and Jackson would be in a situation together is by getting paired up by their teacher for an assignment of some sort, and so that's what I drew. Neither of them would be happy because they'd rather get paired up with someone they actually know, but Jackson would at least try to make an effort to get started, while Hana would stay upset for quite a while and not contribute as much into the assignment. Jackson would get very annoyed by this, but he doesn't like making a big deal out of things, and so he'd just deal with it. I told you she started developing a mean girl attitude. This would be their relationship at the start of the story, but I think that as the story goes on, they'd end up getting along once they got to know each other more. Day 13 is their hobby. I originally imagined Hana's hobby to be drawing or scrapbooking, but once I drew her as a kid playing with bugs, I wanted her to have a love for animals instead. She'd probably still love drawing on the side though. But for this drawing, I drew her with her pet cat that she absolutely adores. Her mom gave him to her as a birthday gift to help her not feel as lonely, and something Hana loves doing with him is playing and dressing him up. I feel like he wouldn't particularly like all the dress-ups, but would deal with it since it would usually come with treats afterwards. Plus, it makes Hana happy. I don't have a name for him yet, but if any of you guys have any suggestions, I'd be glad to hear them. Next is day 14 Halloween costume. I had two options for this one that I wanted to try out, which was an angel or a cat. I thought the cat would be too on the nose with her love for cats though, and so I just went with the angel instead. Hana wouldn't be the type to go all out for Halloween, but she'd still dress up even if it's just with something as simple as a headband. She doesn't trick-or-treat or anything, and just does it for the vibes and to hang out with her friends. Although this one's pretty simple, I do really love how she turned out in this. She looks so pretty. And finally, we're on day 15, family portrait. I was actually really excited for this prompt since Hana's the only one out of my OCs whose family hadn't figured out yet. And so this was a nice way to force myself to think of something. So Hana was mainly raised by her mother throughout her life. Her dad left them when she was about 5, and so it's just been her and her mom since then. Hana didn't really understand what this meant at the time. All she was told is that dad would be leaving for a while. She wasn't devastated because of this though, since her dad had always been pretty distant, but at the end of the day, he was still her dad, and so she was pretty upset because of this. Something that made her even sadder though was how much her mom started distancing herself after he left. Hana's dad left because he thought having a kid was too much, and so a part of Yuki, Hana's mom, blamed Hana for this. She knew it wasn't her fault though, but she just couldn't help feeling resentful towards her daughter. Don't worry though, cause it does get better as Hana grows older. Yuki eventually realizes that she needs to forget about that guy and focus on someone that truly matters, which is Hana. That's actually another reason why they moved in the first place. Yuki wanted to get away from that environment, and so she thought a fresh start would be perfect. She's trying to be more involved in her daughter's life, but she's not always perfect at it. She's trying her best though, and Hana appreciates that a lot. Yuki even wears a necklace with a flower on it since Hana means flower in Japanese to always remind her of her daughter. I just think that's a really cute detail. However, once things seem to be going really well for them, Yuki receives news of a classmate of Hana's sudden passing. She's shocked, and even more so since she knows this girl. Hana has brought Daphne over before, and so Hana is obviously crushed by this. Yuki doesn't know how to comfort her daughter though, and so Hana ends up locking herself in her room, and suddenly the distance between them grows bigger once again. And that's the challenge complete! Hopefully you guys enjoyed learning more about Hana. I had a lot of fun doing this challenge. It was a really nice way to flesh out her character even more. Don't forget to check out Baby Carrot Art who created this challenge and the prompts in it. You'll definitely love their content. And of course, don't forget to check out Milanote as well using the link in the description. It low-key feels like forever since I've posted, and I'm so sorry about that. I was really sick this month, plus had school on top of that, and so I was pretty busy. But I'm feeling much better now and hope to stay consistent again. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and don't forget that I have a Discord server that you can join if you like. Stay safe, and as always, I hope you have a great day.